Welcome to Inferred Trust, the series. My name is George Philemonchuk, your host. In this episode, we're going to discuss unscrupulous and unethical dentistry and dental practices. My friends, the shocking reality is there is an immeasurable amount of unscrupulous and unethical dentists out there. What are they doing? They're putting their hands into your mouth to get to your money. Let me ask you, how much did your last dental visit cost? How much of this have you invested overall into your mouth? Or in the case of a family, mouths, plural. How do you know that the treatment or the work was even necessary? Did you get a second opinion? Most likely not. So you probably followed the lead of your dentist. But why? Because he's a doctor, he's got your best interests at heart? He's a family member? A friend? Or he's in your insurance network? Oh, I know. He's really, really nice, and you've been going to him for a long time. Think again, my friends. Think again. Is he even licensed? Did you check? Did you conduct any research? Most likely not. As I mentioned, there's an immeasurable amount of unscrupulous and unethical dentists out there, practicing and performing unnecessary and inadequate procedures that you're paying for. Not only with this, but you have to live with the results. We're going to expose you to the unique nuances of dentistry, nuances that pave the way for rampant greed of unsuspecting customers. And I say customers rather than patients because first and foremost, dentistry is a sales-driven business. You're a paying customer. So that makes you the boss. You're in charge and you need to act like it. Don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid to ask, question, and scrutinize. You have to advocate for yourself. Remember this, my friends. Teeth are the only organs in the body that can't heal. Tissue, organs, bones, they heal. Teeth don't. Any alteration leads to more deterioration. And what does that lead to? More of this. And don't think that it's not by clever design. You'll never know, up until now. So join me, my friends, as we expose the shocking secrets of the dirty business of dentistry. One thing you should never forget is that you're their tooth fairy. One of the nuances is tension and anxiety, something that you can't control. It's physiological as well as psychological, and it begins from the time you make that appointment. And it manifests all the way up until you find yourself sitting in the waiting room. And while in the waiting room, what is happening? You're going crazy because you're scared. It's that fear of the unknown. What are they going to find? What are they going to do? Is it going to hurt? And how much is it going to cost? You're waiting, and your name gets called. Now you're in the chair. Your tension and anxiety is nearly at peak. And why wouldn't it be? I mean, look! Look at all this stuff that's already laid out for you, these tools. I mean, look at this. Does that look like it's going to bring pleasure or pain? I don't know about you. To me, this looks like it's painful. I've got the x-ray here, the spotlight. I'm buried with hoses. You've got the suction going on. You've got the drilling, the noises. It's all working against you, folks. But something else you didn't consider is what position are you physically in? Of course you're on your back, with your torso exposed. You're in the most vulnerable and submissive position possible, the supine position. So you're more likely, subconsciously, to lay down to whatever they want you to do, or that they want to do to you. Now to counteract that natural tension and anxiety that you suffer, what have they done? They've added music, or a TV. And isn't it uncanny how on TV it's always something to do with food? And what does that do? It's adding to your increased tension and anxiety. Why? Because you most likely didn't eat before you got here. So now you're watching some beautiful food on TV and your stomach is growling and acting up. And you're getting uneasy and you're getting anxious. That's adding to the tension and anxiety that you're suffering. And guess what? It's in their favor. because you're already laying down. So no matter what the prognosis is or the recommended course of treatment is, you're most likely going to lay down to it. And the reason why? Because they know that it's unlikely that you're going to get a second opinion. Because in the dental industry, less than 3% of customers get second and third opinions. The one thing you need to take out of all of this is that you should always get a second opinion, because what's good for you is better for them. Just remember this: when the mouth closes, the money stops. Payment is expected when services are rendered, unless prior financial arrangements have been made. Dentistry is a sales-driven business. You think car salesmen are the only guys that use high-pressure tactics? Think again. The unscrupulous dentists are masters of it. And how do they do it? They create a sense of urgency. They may say something to you like, you need to get this work done. And if you choose not to, or something to the effect, I'm booked solid for the next 2 months, you're going to have to wait. They create a sense of urgency. Again, this works on your tension and anxiety and gets you to make a commitment as quick as possible. It's about the money. It's a cash grab. Like all businesses, there's overhead costs. There's fixed and variable costs. Among the lowest costs are lab costs. But that's where all the money comes from. And why? Because it's so manipulatable. The profit margins are unregulated. These guys are buying crowns from China for as little as $10. Implants, maybe $25. Domestic labs, on average, a crown will cost around $100 to $150. And an implant, maybe $200. But yet they're charging $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 for a crown. An implant is even more. Again, how do you know that you even needed it? And there's a very good possibility that they intentionally damaged your teeth to get to that point. If you're getting an appliance, I believe it's your right to know what lab they're using so that you have an opportunity to scrutinize that lab to make sure that you're getting a quality appliance. How else do they increase their profit? Quite simple. They negotiate better deals with the labs. The lab is already charging minimum, yet they want a better deal. But do you get the savings passed on to you? No. Do they drop their price on the work to you? No. But they're increasing their profit at your expense. But another unscrupulous way they do it is by simply not paying their bills. Can you imagine that? You pay them. You paid them for that implant, for that crown, that bridge, that partial, that veneer, whatever. But they didn't even pay the lab. How much lower can you stoop? Have you ever been wondering why your case was not ready? You call the dentist and he says there's a problem. He still doesn't have it. Do they ever own up to the problem? Never. It's always the lab's fault. Well, the fact of the matter is, my friends, the reason why your case has not been delivered is because most likely your dentist has a seriously past due balance with the lab. And either they refuse to take the prescription or they're holding it hostage until they get paid. Again, you'll never know. But if you're getting the excuse and you're waiting and waiting and waiting for your appliance to come in, I'll bet you my bottom dollar it's because your dentist did not pay his bill. Hence, your crown, your implant, your veneer, your bridge, what have you, your dentures are being held by the lab. How absurd is it that they don't pay the lab? A lot of unscrupulous dentists engage in what's called lab shopping. And this is how it works. The labs are very trusting people to their detriment. They figure, or they assume, that since they're dealing with doctors, that they're going to be on the up and up, honest, and pay their bills. But there is a very high proportion of unscrupulous dentists out there that lab shop. On average, labs will extend $5,000 to $10,000 of credit to a dentist. The dentist racks up the credit, doesn't pay the bill. And what does he do? He goes off and starts with another lab because the labs don't get credit applications or personal guarantees. All they want are the prescriptions being submitted, and they fill them based on extending inferred trust. Another way the unscrupulous dentists increase profits is by labor. And what do we mean by that? They employ cheaper, lower paid employees. And a lot of times the associate dentists that they use are very low paid. Sometimes they work for free because they're interning dental students. Clearly, there's a problem with that. You're getting an inexperienced dentist working on you. There's a very high probability of error. And what does that error result in? You returning. And what happens when you return to get the error fixed? You pay more money. Dental chains are notorious for recruiting and employing recent dental graduates. Why? Because they pay them less than anybody else. But they're the least experienced. They haven't developed the hands necessary to provide proper, adequate care. It's all about the money. Again, it's a cash grab. So be careful when you visit these nationally advertised chains. You're not dealing with experienced people. The likelihood of you experiencing more mistakes, unnecessary procedures, again, it runs rampant. Let me ask you something. You've had a procedure done and you've had to go for follow-up visits and you were charged for them. Does that make any sense? You would think that the exorbitant price that you were initially charged would cover all follow-up visits, but it doesn't. That's a nuance to this business. What economic benefit would it be to the dentist if your situation was resolved in one sitting? Absolutely none. And why? Because there aren't one or two or more patients, or let me rephrase, customers waiting to take your place. As many dentists have confided in me, the name of the game is to keep them coming back. Get as many people in that chair as possible. Like a car wash, volume is everything. Did you know that there's not one state in the country that requires annual health inspections? Can you imagine that? But in the food industry, nail salons, massage parlors, tattoo parlors, those service industries all get regular health inspections by the Board of Health. It doesn't happen in dentistry. But where are you more apt to catch something serious? My friends, when you're entering the office and you're in the office, you need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to pay attention to what is going on. How does it look? Is it organized or disorganized? Right off the bat, that's going to tell you the level of care and knowledge that you're going to get. We've been to a lot of dental offices scouting locations. We've seen many. Folks, what you're going to see here is not uncommon, but out of the 20 locations we scouted, this is number one for being the worst. And it's important so you see. You have to see the extreme example to get what we're going to tell you, what we're trying to teach you to protect yourself. Well, let's take a look at this. Again, organization speaks volumes of a person's ability and competence. So let's see what we have here. Come on. This is some sort of primitive file cabinet storage. I don't know what you want to call it, but let's look through some of this stuff. So we have bags. And we have a lot of bags here. Now for what? I really don't know. Don't know what's been in them, but I can tell you something's been in them because this one's got a fair amount of schmegma. Now, I don't know if a tool was in there, a tool's going to go in there, or if something's going to be used, but maybe this guy just likes to collect bags. I don't know, but it's not looking good, folks. And I really should be wearing gloves, but we'll get into that. So I don't know, we got all kinds of supplies here. Okay, now, this is an interesting thing. These obviously are dental tools, instruments, and they are in a sterile bag. Now this bag would indicate that it's been put through the autoclave, which we're going to talk about that shortly. So these, hypothetically folks, have been through the proper disinfection and sterilization process. But how do we really know? Because there is a protocol. Disinfection is different from sterilization. Disinfection means cleaning off debris, washing it, getting tissue, bone, blood, saliva, all that crud off of there. It's merely washing. Sterilization is killing the disease, the germs. There's a big difference between the two. These would appear to be sterilized. However, were they disinfected prior to going in there? Because it's like this. If they were not disinfected, that means there could be bone, saliva, tissue that went into the autoclave, and it's still there. Disgusting. What do we have here? Uh-oh. Somebody's grill just fell on my swing shoes. Let me pick it up. Now this is a dental case. This is a mold. And this is how it's kept. Now you could probably see from this individual that they've probably been here several times because it looks like they're losing more and more teeth. I wonder why. Let's see what else is here. These are all cases. These are all impressions. These are molds of people's teeth that need either a crown. No, it looks like it could be a denture or a bridge. This is how they're stored. I mean, who does that belong to? In a Ziploc bag. I'm not having it, folks. Not having it. It's just, and think about this. You're the customer. You come in to get your case. And it's probably here, but this guy doesn't know where it is. Hence, delays, and lies. Oh, must be the lab. The lab still has it. No. It's buried here with everybody else's grills. Ooh, we got a lot of abutments here, a lot of molds and impressions. Again, grouped in. And just think of this. You see how these are kept in there with other ones? Now what happens? What if this is damaged? It could be easily damaged. Then it's sent to the lab. And then the device that they make comes back improper. It doesn't fit right. And who gets blamed? The lab. But where does the fault really lie? Where did it stem from? Here. Nasty. Taking a survey of your surroundings is oh so important. The most important area in the dental practice is the prep area. That's where they service the instruments. They disinfect and sterilize. There's two machines that are used. To disinfect, the most popular way is what's called an ultrasonic. The ultrasonic is just simply meant to remove debris, tissue, and stuff like that, not to sterilize. It just simply cleans off the tool of any residual waste. Let's take a look at this prep area, because again, the prep area is going to tell you everything. It's going to speak volumes of the care that you're getting and the quality and the practitioner's ability. So let's take a look. All right, so here we are at the work area, okay? Most important place in the entire practice, okay? Let's delve into this a little bit deeper. This is pretty pitiful in my opinion. Does this look like it's neat or organized? I mean, you have these polishers, the stones hanging there. Okay, at least they're not on the ground. But what is that? What is that? What is in there? There's something in there, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm not about to open it, and I'm not going to touch it, but I will tell you that it looks pretty gnarly. Enough that I want to stay away from it. But let's look what's going on here. So, the most important instrument, the most important device, bar none, in a dental practice is the autoclave. The autoclave is what they use to sterilize the tools. So when the instrument is bagged like this, it goes into the autoclave where it's sterilized, primarily by heat. Now this is an autoclave. Now folks, I got to tell you, I don't trust that autoclave, and I would not trust it to think that it's operating properly. It would appear that these tools or these instruments are destined to go in the autoclave. But I'm going to tell you something. I mean, look at this place. Okay? Do you trust, based on what you've seen here, that this is operating properly? Or that it's being sterilized properly? I mean, what's to stop them from taking this pick and sticking it in a bag, and next thing it goes in your mouth? You're not going to put this nowhere near me. This is disgusting. Oh, this is an interesting tidbit. There's a recent impression from just 2 weeks ago. This is someone's impression. This is someone's mold that's going to go to the lab. Okay? And it's just laying here like this. You tell me what you think of that. Is that not nasty? You don't have to be an expert. I'm not an expert. And I'm not here rendering medical advice. It's just common sense. There's no excuse for that. What about this here? Look at this mess. Why are we saving gloves? Gloves are disposable. They're very cheap. Take a look at something else. God forbid, God help you, if you have an allergic reaction or something causes you to go unconscious that you need to be resuscitated. Because in this place, it's lights out for you, pal. Here's the ambu bag. It's on the floor. It's on the floor. That's used to bring you back to life. Look where it is. Look at this. Here's your oxygen. Okay? Now, take a look at this maze. How is it possible that that is going to be pulled out in enough time and plugged up to you to save your life? Not happening, folks. When you see this, what would you do? Would you let this go, or would you do the right thing and turn around and run like hell and get the fuck out of town? If you don't, you're asking for trouble. I mean, look at this grinder. It's just, there's no excuse for this. And folks, my friends, even worse is that there's no oversight. Dentists are not subject to being inspected annually by the Board of Health or the dental associations. They're not. But your restaurant is, your hair salon is, your nail salon is, your tattoo parlor is, your tanning salon is, your spa is, all food service, annually inspected by the Board of Health. Now let me ask you, my friends, what are you going to catch at a nail salon that's worse than what you can catch here? There's something that is predominant in the dental business, a bacteria called endocarditis. Endocarditis is a serious matter. It is a mouth-borne bacteria that gets into the bloodstream and attacks your heart valves. Okay? And if not caught in time, it's fatal. We had here several years ago in New Jersey an oral surgeon who was a highfalutin guy, no less, who I actually went and visited for a consultation. But he did me a favor. He threw me out. And you know why? Because I ask questions. I'm not afraid to ask questions. If you don't ask, you don't know. And if they don't want to answer your questions, run like hell. You don't need them. So this interesting professional was a filthy, disgusting pig. He didn't even know how to sterilize stuff. He was using single dosage medications on multiple patients. He wasn't disinfecting or sterilizing needles. They gave this guy chance after chance after chance to get his act straight, and he couldn't do it. He didn't do it because he was too arrogant, full of himself, and didn't care. And guess what happened, my friends? 13 people got endocarditis and needed open heart surgery. Another person, number 14, died. And a 15th person got it but had no problems. And how did he get caught? Wait till you hear this. 2 of the patients, let me rephrase, 2 of the customers ended up at the same emergency room hospital. Luckily, there was an ER doctor who was on his game and noticed a correlation that it's impossible that 2 people who don't know each other, have no interaction, came down with the exact same strain of endocarditis. So that doctor, to his credit, started backtracking and found out that they both had extractions at the same oral surgeon. And that's how the case was broken. That's how it exposed. And here's the worst part, my friends. Do you think that guy got his license revoked? Not by a long shot. It's virtually impossible. What happened? 5-year license suspension. That's it. 5-year suspension. And while he was suspended here in New Jersey, he was allowed to practice in New York. Let me ask you something. Can a leopard change its spots? No. Do you think that that piece of garbage, when he's back here practicing in New Jersey, is going to be any cleaner than he was years ago when he infected and got those other people sick, in which one died? Do I sound like I'm upset? You're damn right. And you should be upset, because we're all subject to this. And unless you're watching out for yourself, you're going to be a victim. Let's take a look at something else. Okay, folks. So now we're going to be stepping into the office of this dentist, his workspace, his personal office. And right off the bat, I have to tell you that this is a bit discerning. This, to me, is the epitome of chaos. I mean, you can barely move in this place. I mean, judge for yourself. We've got over here some impressions that appear to be unmarked. We don't know who they belong to. There's another impression here. Who knows? That's money sitting there, of course. Somebody paid for it. There's all kinds of stuff laying here. It's really in disarray. What can I tell you? I wonder what this guy's house looks like. So in the office also we have here is the refrigerator that they store their medications. And as I had mentioned previously, you really need to check medications and ask to see the vials, because it's not uncommon that expired medications are used. And again, it's to save money, to make more money. So let's take a look inside. And right off the bat, I'll tell you that this is not the newest looking refrigerator, but you know, as long as it works, I guess, right? But I'm not overly impressed by that. So let's take a look inside. What do we have here? First thing I'm pulling out. There you have it. September 2002. That's 21 years old. Let's take a look at what else. What else do we have here? 2021. Not making this up, folks. This is in here. We just opened it up, and sure as hell. Let's see what else we have here. I do have to tell you that you can't smell it, but we sure can. There's a distinct odor coming out of this refrigerator. Can't explain it. Not very pleasant. Emergency meds. Let's take a look here. Thank God I'm wearing gloves. So we have emergency meds. So by the sheer name and label, this is important stuff, wouldn't you say? Well, let's take a look inside. So what do we have here? To me, that looks expired, folks. Let's see what else we have here. September 2022. What a surprise. Again, we did not prop this. We didn't stage this. This is as we walked in here and found it. Can't make this stuff up. Oh, let's see what this little vial says. "2003. Do we really need to look more? I really don't want to look anymore. I think I made my point clear that obviously expired medications, as I said in the beginning or previously, do we really want to look some more, folks? I really don't want to, but I've proven my point. This is not staged. This is not propped. This is as we walked in here and just opened up and looked. Can't make this stuff up. So we're going to put the emergency meds, because these are important, back under the hot pot. I don't even know what's on the floor here. I'm afraid to look, but definitely not organized. Again, what does this tell you? What would you think if you saw this? Would this influence your decision to stay here or leave and go somewhere else? Me? I'd be out of here. And I think you would be too. If you're smart, you'd be out of there. Again, this is just to prove a point that you need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to look around. I mean, this speaks volumes. You don't have to ask anybody. Just walk and look, and you will find and see. Doesn't make much sense to me, folks.